will say I've been fortunate because I've had a bit of a front row seat to all of this that's happened in the last year since you started your business and to what you've grown it to today, to see your perseverance, to see your resourcefulness and the impact that it does have on others, from helping people in our investing group to growing and helping more people. Like, it's just continued to scale. And there was something you said in your experience that really, there was two things you said that really resonated with me. One was when you were talking about your boss and working with him, and God had told you that he's served his purpose. And to me, when we think about our journey and what we're going through and faith in others, we don't always, and we talk about this all the time, God doesn't show us the full plan. Sometimes he'll only show us one step. And it's really about, like, are you willing to take the faith to just take that one step and trust that the next step is going to align with what I have for the bigger purpose? And when God had said to you, he served his purpose, what I felt in my heart God was saying to you was that you've been faithful with each step. Each step he has shown you and each thing he has brought to you and each thing he shared with you, you've received it. And received those experiences was most important. It wasn't just about hearing them and being a part of it. You received it. You internalized the things that your boss showed you. Like you said, when he's like, hey, you need to have 6 months of operations. You, most people can take that information and just say, okay, that's good to know. But you internalized it. You allowed it, you received it into your soul. And you was like, you know what? Whenever that time came, that came back to the surface of, this is something I need to be doing. And all of that to me just shows your faithfulness in God. And we talk a lot in this season about faith in others, but really, like, the faith in others starts with faith in ourselves, right? And then it's through our faith in ourselves that we grow our faith in God, and our faith in God allows us to extend that beyond just ourselves and God into others. And that's the goal of all of this. And I just want to thank you again for just always being vulnerable about your experience and the journey that you're going through, because I know there's people out there who are watching who are in that boat. I'm one of them at times where, like, I'm just like, God, I don't get it. Why am I still, here? And part of it's because God's waiting on you to be faithful. God's waiting on you to receive in the same way that Aria was just explaining about how she received. It's not always about trying to run. Sometimes it's just about walking a steady pace, being consistent in what God's called you to do in that moment. And when the right time comes, he will nudge you. He will let you know, now's the time. Now's the time to step in. And I think what's most important about all of it is remembering that it's not about you. The journey is not about you. The journey is always about the bigger mission that God has for your life, which is to impact others. And so congratulations, Ari. Like, truly, tip my hat to you. Congratulations on always staying faithful, because your faithfulness has opened the doorways for so many people to start the dreams that God has for them. And to me,
Yeah.
that is what living a life and walking with God really looks like, is when you're doing things that allows God to use you as a vessel to help his people.
Oh, thank you so much, Antoine. I wanted to ask you a question. Has there ever been a time where someone else's story reignited your faith?
Absolutely. I mean, like, and I'm not blowing smoke at all and just trying to hype you up, but, like, that's what I meant when I said I feel like I've been sitting front row to your journey and your experiences, because in many ways you have served as someone that continues to reignite my faith, because I
Mm,
see what your faithfulness and the things you're doing on a regular basis is bringing into your life in terms of your fulfillment, your purpose, and what God has called you to do. And so, first off, I would say it's you. And to me, this is what fellowship is all about. Like, this is what, when God calls us to fellowship, like, this is what it's all about. It's about being in the company of people who are demonstrating the principles and practices that God calls us to. And we all demonstrate them at different times. I'm sure there's times where Ari might have been having a rough spot, and she's talking to me and she's like, man, like, what you just shared really, like, ignited something in me to do this, this, and this. Like, we're all at different places. But where
yeah.
I'm at right now in terms of just my being consistent and being persistent in what God's called me to do, I think looking at your journey and knowing, like, I've seen you from day one, us an investing group, you helping people with just inquiry removals, to you now having a three-pronged approach to everything between funding, inquiry removals, and now also helping people with credit repair says everything. It speaks volumes, right? And so, yeah, I would say that you're someone definitely that I've seen as
Mm.
a role model that has reignited in many ways not only my faith in God, but also my faith in others and my faith in myself.
Oh, well, thank you for that, Antoine. I highly appreciate that. I'm just someone that is every day just trying to, listen to that voice of God and trying to do the right thing and become a better person and follow a path that I know God, wants me on. And not every day that's easy to do, but it's something that I'm honored to do and that I'm honored to sacrifice, that I'm honored to go through because I know that it's a bigger purpose for this. It's not just me, right? It's not just for the glory of Ariana de la Cruz, right? It's for the people that can follow that what I've done and be know that God is there for them too in the same way that he's there for me and the impact that it can have on other people. So there's like a bigger purpose, right, for who I am and why I am how I am and the sacrifices that I make and how I allow things to really simmer into me so that I could make the best choices, right? It all has a bigger purpose, but God knows by no means necessary. It's easy, but it's something that I feel called to do. So I'm honored to do it, especially if I know God is in it. It's like, I know I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get through it. All is going to be well. So, I definitely appreciate, the kudos and, the feedback on that. Cause it feels good to be seen, at the end of the day, it does feel good to be seen. So, thank you
And
for
and
that.
I'll add something on that, Ari, too. And
Yeah.
and I think this is for anyone because again, we have these discussions because we're documenting our journey and what we're
Yeah.
going through, and we want everyone that's watching that you understand you're not in it alone. And hopefully, there's
Yeah.
things we talk about that you see within us. But I think the when I think about you, Ari, the one thing that's different from what I've seen or I've experienced before is just your passion and zeal with wanting to do what you've been called to do. And when I say wanting, I mean, and you were just expressing this with your client, where you said the client came and no one could help her. And usually the thing is, I can't help you. I'm sorry, you're going to have to find someone else. And he was like, no, we're going to find a way. Like that level of faith is something that you don't see everywhere. You don't.
Oh
You don't see
man.
it everywhere.
Yeah.
And that level of faith is what God
Yeah.
calls us to. And this is what we're talking about in this segment, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you're going through something for a purpose, but that purpose is more than just the act of doing something. It's demonstrating the faith in doing something and the faith that you show in everything that I've seen from the time we started the podcast, the things you're doing is truly next level. And people feel that. And so I say that to say, yes, you are doing great work and you continue to crush it in everything you do. But it's your level of faith to me that sets you apart from just someone who's saying, I'm doing God's work. Like you're doing God's work without any doubt, like none. There may be things that creep up, and that's
Yeah.
just the enemy. I mean, he attacks all of us, right? But it's a fleeting moment. Like you'll feel it, and then you're like, something's not right. And to me, that's what I think we all should be. That's where my inspiration comes, is because I look at that level of faith and I'm like, wow, like how I don't know, but you every time, and it shows up. And I think your client, I know, not I think, I know your clients feel it as well, which is why they come back and why they refer and why they're like, all right, you did this great thing for me. So I would just continue to say, like, keep that level of faith. To me, that's the thing that sets you apart.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you for, those beautiful words. Um, they mean a lot more than what you know. I think for me, like if I were to think about someone's story that has ignited, I would say my faith. I wouldn't say reignited, but I would say ignited my faith. Is being a young girl and watching my mom pray over my brother. I've mentioned this in another episode where my brother was getting a lot of seizures. And with the seizures, it will cause him to just pass out anywhere. And, it could be life devastating because if he would have ever fell backwards and hit his head. Like, who knows what could have happened. And it was a very scary time in my life. I probably was like, what, 9, 10 years old. And like having seen my brother get these seizures, and we would sleep together a lot of the time. My brother were always really close. So we would always sleep together, and to have in the middle of the night be woken up with him getting a seizure, and,
Mm.
being such a young girl, and watching my mom, pray for my brother, watching my mom make a um like a promise to God that if God were to cure him from my brother's seizures, that she would give her life and dedicate her life to him, to God. And just he never got a seizure again after she said that prayer. My brother, that's been like what, like 30 something years now, 30 years or so. And I think watching my mom till then give her life to Christ and being faithful to God. And once God came through, mom didn't be like, oh, okay, God, you came through, you healed my son. Now let me just go back to not honoring you. No, my mom went hard. My mom went hammer time with her love, her passion, her faith, her whole life surrendered to God. And I was a witness to that as a young girl. And I don't think back then I knew how much of an impact it had on me. But now looking back, right, as an adult, I look back and I see, how God came through for my family, right? It's like God can do anything once you are submitted to Him, once you give your life to Him, once you open your heart to Him, and you just want to glorify Him and follow Him, what He can do. And we're not just doing it to get something, because it brought major peace to my mom and my household. It brought a lot of love and connection in the household. So I think that it wasn't just, oh, God just is a God of miracles, so we're just going to follow Him. It's the love that He puts in your heart that, to me, matters more than anything of any miracle God can do. Is the peace, the love, the wanting to be giving and wanting to be, faithful and loyal. I think that is so much more that it comes with it when we give our lives to God, what He does for us on the inside. But of course, it also comes with, with His works and His miracles that we can also, bask in. We can bask in all of that. And it's a beautiful thing. And I will just say, like, looking back now, like seeing my mom go through it, because we were all going through it in that household, but it had purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that we go through, there's purpose in it. And like my mom was a great model for me as a young girl, seeing that. And again, back then I couldn't see it. I'm not saying, oh, because my mom started going to church, I started going to church, because my mom, went to Catholic church, and it was boring for me. I'm sorry. It just wasn't for me or my brother. We just weren't really with it. But we would go sometimes, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, we're Jesus followers now. No, that didn't happen that way for me at all. But it did have an impact, and it did ignite faith in me of what is possible when you follow God, when you love Him, when you believe in Him, when you're willing to just go hard for Him, how hard God goes for you. And how God can fix anything, and how God can do anything and move anything around in your favor. So I think that for me, it was my mom. Until this day, it has to be my mom, because my mom's love for God. And when I'm stressed, the way my mom just tells, well, is in God's hands, and the way she just, you know, puts God in everything first. Like, she's always a constant reminder. My mom doesn't waver her face. I'm single to this day. And when I tell my mom, God, I'm single, when is my person coming? My mom says, lo tuyo viene, eso viene, which means what's yours is coming. Just keep waiting. It's coming. And my mom would never be like, well, girl, yeah, you're almost pushing 40. Oh no, I think I forgot about you. My mom doesn't say that to me. She's like, it's coming. What's yours is coming. And it's better to wait and find and wait for the perfect person, the right person, not perfect, but the right person that God called, than just being with a bunch of people that are just going to give you headaches and heartaches, right?
No.
So my mom always
Amen
says,
to
like,
that.
it's a blessing and a curse, but it's a blessing as well that you are single, because you're not dealing with multiple heartbreaks every couple months, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. I have the heartaches, but I probably would have done a lot more had I been in a lot more relationships, which I have not been in a whole bunch of relationships. But yeah, so I think, like, for me as my mom, and that goes to show, like, each one teach one. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
every time, you go through something that can teach somebody else, you're going to be okay. Like, look what God did for them. God can do it for me. And it's just ongoing. You know what I mean? Like, there's no pain that is in vain, right? Every pain is repurposed, as I was saying before. And I think it's a beautiful thing. Um, so if anybody that's watching that's going through something, that doesn't understand why I'm going through that, that has faced a major sacrifice. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place where it's like, which way do I go? Right? I don't know what to do. Things just seem very hard. Um, Whatever that inner voice is telling you to do, whatever that inner voice is guiding you to do, as scary as it is, just take that leap.
mm,
Just take that
mhm,
leap, and God will be with you throughout the way. If again, like, if that voice, that is called by him, you're gonna be fine, you know. But maybe in the beginning you won't feel fine. Maybe in the beginning you're going through it, but just know that there is purpose in that going through it. Like, you know what I mean? It's gonna be okay, and everything's gonna be for your good, and ultimately it's gonna be for the good of others that gets to bask in that faith with you, because you went through it and you got through it and you became better for it. A weekly challenge for you guys. And, for today, we just want you to write down one hard season in your life and how God showed up in it. Then we want you to pray and ask, Lord, how can I use this testimony to help someone else? And then share part of that story this week in a post or in a conversation or your journal. Call someone up and just, share with them what happened. And then tag or message someone whose story once inspired your faith and thank them. So if there's anybody that has inspired you, that has um, increased your faith, tag them, text them, call them, and thank them. I think that is will be a beautiful thing, not only for the person but also for you as well. And we just want you guys to be take away this, that God uses real imperfect stories to bring others closer to him. Everything that God does is to bring others closer to him, to bring you closer to him, right? With my example, leaving my 9 to 5 and God telling me, like, I am your everything, right? You can
mm,
just follow me, trust me. I'm your guide, right? Everything you need comes through me, the opportunity, the people, places, and things. Like, I'm the connector, right?
mm.
And allow all those connections. And that has increased my faith. So just know that God allows things, the imperfectness of our stories, to bring us closer to him. And also that your scars can be someone else's survival guide. And I think that is very impactful and so beautiful and so true. Your scars, everything that you've went through, everything that has happened, everything that God has allowed to happen, is going to serve at some point. Doesn't matter if you don't see it yet, as someone else's survival guide, something else that they can track and follow. Like, okay, they did this and this and this and this happened to them. Now I know how to be. I know what to do. I know what actions to take. I know what mindset to have. So nothing is in vain. Your struggle, your pain, everything has a purpose, and everything will be repurposed for someone else later on. So keep tugging, keep going through it, keep fighting, keep sacrificing, because it is going to ultimately be a beautiful story at the end for you and others. And I just want to end this with a closing prayer. So if anybody that's watching right now, just close your eyes and just take in this beautiful prayer. Dear God, we thank you for every listener who tuned in today. Thank you for reminding us that our faith isn't just for ourselves, it's also a light for those walking through dark seasons. God, help us to recognize when someone around us needs our prayers, our words, or simply our presence. Teach us to love like you do, with patience, grace, and faith that stands even when things don't make sense. Strengthen our hearts so that when others can't see the way, our beliefs becomes a bridge that leads them back to hope. And for the one listening who's struggling right now, remind them that you're still with them, still working, and still writing their story. We seal this moment in gratitude, trusting that every story you've written will serve a greater purpose. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And as usual, y'all, if you have any thoughts, comments, or anything you'd like to share with us. We love to hear from you. So drop a comment below. And with that, thank you for tuning in. And until our next episode, always remember that having faith in God, having faith in yourself, and having faith in others will create the evolution that you are seeking.
Let's go.
Woo-woo.